I sat down with these 9 Minecraft speedrunners to find out if they all think the same. I made 5 statements and had each of them move a certain distance regarding how much they agree or disagree, and then asked each person why. I do want to clarify that each answer is purely opinionated, as well as the fact that this video was recorded in February, and none of the statements are my direct fault, but the idea was to make more open statements in order to get mixed answers and truly dwell into different Minecraft speedrunners' minds. With that being said, a sub 5 random seed speedrun is possible.
I think it's possible because technically there's been filtered seeds that don't have any like RNG or seed manipulation. It's just a really strong seed filter that have had sub 5s and even I think sub 4s maybe, or at least it's gotten very close. So with the right seed and the right amount of grinding, it's possible, but I would bet a lot of money that it doesn't happen within the next year or 2 years.
In a very hypothetical sense, a sub 5 is definitely possible. Like, we've seen it happen with filtered seeds. We've seen it happen when everything is manipulated to be pretty fortunate, whether that be looting swords in portals or good trades and better rates and good blinds and things like that. Will it happen? I think is a different question that I may have to stand in a different location for. But if it's possible, yeah, I would have to agree that it is possible. So I agree that it can happen. I won't say my opinion on whether it will in actual reality.
Well, possible. It's possible. Realistic? Probably not. I don't know if anyone's gonna get it, but it is possible, technically.
I don't know, like, obviously, like, you can just get a speedrun that's sub 5. Like, it's just a thing that can happen, you know? Like, FSG World Record is sub 5, right? Surely.
I know
I'm pretty sure it's sub 5.
Ranked has the fastest time being just above 6 minutes, I believe.
Really? Wait, FSG? Wait.
No, but MCSR ranked specifically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for, like, ranked specifically. Like, in my mind, obviously, you can get a run like that, but, like, just the odds are just, like, I don't know. I say agree because, like, theoretically, yes, but, like, realistically, I'm not a believer it'll actually happen. At least right now, unless we get some, like, crazy changes. I don't think it'll actually happen, but I have to go agree because, in my mind, theoretically, like, yeah, that can happen.
I think counting out any like time barrier is just usually a bad idea in speedrunning. Like, stuff's always going to get faster. People are always going to improve and play more, and just like people don't ever get worse at the game. And like, especially with a game like Minecraft where you can just get extremely lucky, like eventually a run of that caliber is going to happen as long as people are playing. And I don't really think anyone's ever going to stop playing Minecraft speedrunning.
The question was, is it possible? And it's like, the only thing is like, okay, technically, theoretically, you could argue that it's possible if you get 1 minute enter, 1 minute like double triple, and then like with like looting, and then like, or not even looting, like a 45-second fort, and you're first portaling at like 3 flat, and then your second portaling at like 350, and then it's like 15-second nav, and then you're zeroing, or like 20-second nav and you're zeroing, and I think that makes sense. But it's just like, it's just so absurd. Like, it's just so absurd that it's like basically just never gonna happen. I mean, if you think about how like we've never had a run that was on sub 5 pace. Like, what is the blind record right now? I don't even know what it is, but it's not. If somebody blinded into Portal Room, I don't think it's that fast. So like, along with, you know, like having to do everything and all the luck, it's basically impossible, but it's technically not impossible. So that's why middle ground.
I mean, we've seen Drip's record of a 701 be for over a year now. And don't get me wrong, I think sub 7 is possible. I think sub 6 is possible. I think sub 5, there's so much that needs to go right. Like, we've never even rolled close to a sub 5able seed. And if someone even rolls a sub 5able seed, then they need to play it perfectly. And I think nerves plus just everything having to go right, plus you still need to get lucky on that type of seed. I think it's just so much to ask for that without major changes happening some way in the community, with either some type of resetting efficiency or some type of new tool, I think it's very, very difficult. The only reason I'm not in strongly disagree is, it is random. You never know. I think people have the capability clearly mechanically to do it. It's more so everything kind of the stars aligning is just so difficult for me to imagine.
It just depends on like the way you really think about the word possible. Like it's possible in a similar sense to how like someone could roll a 12-eye. Like that's a possible thing. It's not a 0% chance, but it's something that'll just never happen. Like, I would be pretty confident that someone would roll a 12-eye before we got a sub 5. Just like the amount that would have to go right. Like, you could put together individual splits that could get to sub 5. Obviously, like, FSG is a category that, like, the seeds are random to the player. And that's sub 5. And, like, some of those filtered seeds can be rolled randomly. Not like you would really play them the same way, probably. But if you added up, like, the best enters and the best splits for everything, it's possible. Like, I think barely. I'd have to look at sheets or whatever, but in my head, like, you could get a sub 1 enter off of BT, and then there are people who have done, like, sub 3 nether splits overall, and then you just hit the portal room, and that's like a sub 4 portal room, and then you just 0, and it's sub 5, and like, yeah, that's possible. So in the sense of the word like that, like, yeah, you could get a sub 5, but it's just never gonna happen. Like, the fastest ranked completion ever is a 6:04, and that's including like every private room game, every ranked game in the past 2 years is a 6:04. So it's never gonna happen, but it's like technically possible, so I'm not all the way on strongly disagree.
Okay, I mean, intuitively, it just makes no sense because my benchmarks for this, or for my statement, are because of ranked and filtered seed. And in ranked, on average, ranked seeds are infinitely better than random seeds, like RSG just randomly resetting. And the best rank time with like on a rune portal, which is like, I don't think there's ever been like a rune portal only world record even. Like, they're just so rare. Like, for every one rune portal enter you'll get, like, you'll probably get like 100 BT enters. So in terms of volume, you're never gonna beat BTs, and I just don't think BTs can sub 5. Like, unless you get the greatest seed of all time. And it's like, nobody has even come close to rolling that seed with a BT. It's just not happening. Like, there's no nethers that I think a human has rolled that can sub 5, even with like a sub-minute enter. And so my benchmarks then are like kind of based on ranked. And it's like, even in ranked with really good rune portal seeds, the best run is like 6:02 by silver or something. So there's still a minute gap to cross. And there's probably been like, top runners have probably played like a 10,000, maybe more, like good RP seeds or something. And there's still no sub 6, which is just like crazy. Like, you just need looting and you need things to go well. Like, literally what the route to get sub 5 in filtered seed is you just need looting 3, insane rune portal. And even then, people will spend like days or like even weeks just resetting for a sub 5 because you need everything to line up. You need to get iron, you need to get looting, you need to get the rates, you need to have a close stronghold. Like, so much has to line up that I think it's impossible to get it. Like, it's not feasible. Like, in theory, the odds are possible, but I don't think it's feasible.
MCSR is the closest we'll get to an official esport.
Look, I just think it's a really all-round description of skill in a game that doesn't inherently have that sort of thing. Obviously, at its core, Minecraft feels very casual friendly, very focused on being relatively easy for everyone to be able to pick up and enjoy. And I love that, and I never want that to change. But if it was to become or be close to some sort of esport, it makes sense that there is some inherent objective rather than you having to kind of shoehorn something else into the game, you know, like turning it into something like a CSGO, a Valorant, that sort of thing, whereby you need a 5v5 or you need an objective like killing the enemy team, etc. In Minecraft speedrunning, it is just you against the game, which I think is really awesome, and kind of anyone can pick it up in any sense of the word, no matter how good or bad you are. And I think that ranked is a great mod that can kind of try and pit you up against an opponent that's of a similar skill level in the same way that a lot of these esports kind of run games are. So yeah, I kind of waffled a bit there, but I really agree that MCSR is probably the closest thing we're going to get to a Minecraft esport.
I'm super bullish on ranked. I think it's awesome. I think the community is really cool. I think people are still improving. I love playoffs. I think there's so many people that are committed, and honestly, I think it's only growing. I don't see any other things close to ranked really showing up. I mean, you have like the PvP tier list and stuff, but in my mind, that's like the closest thing. There's other tournaments in Minecraft, yes, but they're not 100% skill based. You know, you have the Block Wars and the MCC, which are tournaments and cool and awesome in their own right, but they're like for publicity and with big creators, and it's a tournament for big creators and creators alike, you know? But ranked is purely how good are you and who's the best speedrunner. And I think there's nothing even close to that in the community. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like oblivious and there's like a PvP tournament that's like really good like this, but ranked, it's its own mod. Like there's so much to it. I'm super bullish on it. So that's why I said strongly agree.
I think to be a standard esport, Mojang has to take it seriously. And I think although Mojang has done something with MCC, which was fantastic, by the way, the Ender Cup was incredible. I think that the accessibility of something like that on a larger scale is very limited compared to something like speedrunning, where obviously it is a very large learning curve. But at the end of the day, we're playing vanilla Minecraft. You don't need these mods. You don't need these servers. You don't need anything. You are playing a single player world. You are playing as fast as you can to beat the game. I think ranked takes that and makes it amazing and accessible within the mod that it is. It is still a mod, but I think what it is, Mojang could do as an esport without anything. They could just take the idea of ranked and have two people play on the same seed and just speedrun it as fast as they can and just have that be the esport. And I think because of that and the simplicity of it, I think it is the closest thing. The only argument I could see against it would be that Mojang has pretty much made it very clear through basically every decision they've ever made past 1.16.1 that they don't really like speedrunning. But I still think there's so much potential there, and I'm a firm believer in the accessibility and the growth of ranked. I mean, the last season we just had, I don't know when this video will be going up, but season 6 of ranked finished a couple weeks ago, and it was incredibly successful. It was our most successful one by far, and I think that just shows that the skill level is still rising, the talent is there, the personalities are starting to be there more, which is a big thing in an esports space. I think that's been one of the things that kind of holds ranked back to something like MCC. But I think the fact that we have, I would even go as far to say, is the majority of top players now willing to speak, willing to get on like webcam. And like if it was like an official Minecraft LAN, I think they would show up in person. So I think all of those factors and the product itself being so high energy, so intense, that so many people who don't speedrun themselves or take it super seriously or might not even really have an idea of what's going on entirely can still find it incredibly impressive to watch. And there's a clear display of skill that I think is something that could be very powerful as MC as an esport.
So I think speedrunning is like right now the only Minecraft event that's both popular, relatively of course, and majorly skill-based. Obviously, RSG resetting is not skill-based, or it is skill-based, excuse me. There's a significant amount of RNG though. But the popular tournaments and stuff that you see in MCSR, such as ranked, such as other formatted tournaments, there's scout and route tournaments, even all advancement tournaments, those are primarily skill-based and modified and scouted and all that stuff to make them skill-based. Whereas other popular Minecraft competitions like Block Wars, like MCC, are good. They're very entertaining, but the point of them is to kind of have teams that are fair and not teams that are like, it's not necessarily the best 32 or 40 contestants. It's like the 8 balanced teams. So I think in terms of how good it is as an esport, you want to max out the skill ceiling, and I think MCSR is the best place for that at the moment.
There was a bit of drama a while ago on Twitter, and I think it's interesting to talk about, or it kind of refers to this, where in terms of the mainstream events or whatever, I think people were complaining about the fact that it's not open, right? You don't see, the thing with Minecraft is you don't like Minecraft events is obviously they have their own niche, and it's like it's valid. They're playing for fun, but there aren't really any like events that are like solely for competitive reasons. It's not like open qualifiers, right? And in that sense, where it's truly open, anyone can play and there's no barriers. The only barrier is how good you are. I think like speedrunning and ranked are the closest thing that come to that, I think. Because the biggest tourney in ranked is playoffs, and that is completely open. All you need is just a PC, know how to install ranked, and I guess like a mouse and keyboard as well. But like, you get what I mean. Just there's no like barriers or whatever. You don't need it's not like invite only. So I think in that sense, the fact that it's so much more open, it allows anyone who's just good to play, I think. And in that sense, it's probably the closest to an actual esport we'll get, because I think the issue is with other, like, people have tried to do esports in other parts of Minecraft. Like, I remember ESL tried to partner with Badline in like 2015 or something. They try to make like UHC and stuff like that, like into an actual esport. But I think the problem with that is the community was just really toxic. And that I think is always just like, that's always just a barrier to how big a game can become. And also like PvP can be so ping dependent, I think. So it's like, it'll be so NA or EU dominated, I think. Because for me, like the first time I played Minecraft, I was like 8 years old and I lived in the US, but my internet was so bad. So I still had like 200 ping. And then for most of my life, I've lived in like, in Hong Kong or whatever. And all the big servers back then were like Hypixel, Mineplex, and even still now, I guess it's still Hypixel and other stuff, are all still North American or Europe, or North American or European. And I will just get bad connections. Well, not anymore. I recently moved to the UK, so I finally have good connection. But for most of my life, it was just really bad connection, and it was just not fun. Like, it's still fun, but it's definitely just way less enjoyable, and it feels more unfair to play on high ping. And I think that is just a bigger barrier to like making an esport, because it's just way less accessible. There's just fewer people who are able to play at like a top level, and it's just like an internet connection barrier. Whereas like with other big games, it's like with like Valorant, for example, they'll just have like Asian servers or whatever. But with Minecraft, it's just not big enough, the multiplayer scene, I think. So I think, yeah, MCSR, due to the fact that internet just doesn't matter, is I'd say, yeah, like semi-confident it's the closest we'll get to an official esport.
So basically, I would say right now, it is the closest thing that we have to a Minecraft esport. You could argue that there's some other things, but in terms of its range and its scale, and the fact that it is strictly just the best players playing, like the only people that can play, like for MCSR ranked specifically is what I'm thinking about, is like playoffs, is that like it's only the best players play. And that is unique. Like no other tournament is really like that. And so there's tournaments that are on larger scales, but they're not as competitive. And right now I think MCSR in general and ranked specifically as well is just like the most competitive Minecraft, because you could argue PvP is more competitive, but I think it's like not really, it doesn't really have like as much going on right now as far as I'm aware. And so like PvP has the benefit of like, I think PvP maybe has like a little bit more potential, but strictly because there is actual player interaction. That's like the biggest downside of MCSR. Is that it's just a solo thing. But in terms of right now, I don't think it's like necessarily like, I think it necessarily limits it from being an amazing esport or anything like that. Or like it maybe it limits it, but like I think it's not like it can never be an esport because it's a solo thing. And yeah, so I think it's like the closest.
So I think MCSR is one of the more competitive game modes that could happen, because due to latency in the game and just the way that it's coded, a lot of competitive game modes don't work well. But since MCSR ranked is ran on the client side, it just works a lot better for a competitive type of game in Minecraft, like the way it's single player, I guess.
I think the thing is, like, there are like Minecraft events already that aren't speedrunning, like MCC and that kind of stuff. And like I think Minecraft or the MCSR and like ranked and stuff is closer to real esports just because a lot of other events are kind of just you get in if you're popular instead of you get in if you're good. But I think saying that like MCC and bigger events aren't like real esports is not super accurate. Like it is still like good players playing well usually, even if the people playing aren't like there because of their skill.
I mean, I think what we do with playoffs, like ranked playoffs, is pretty cool, but it lacks a very core aspect of player interaction that you would get with like literally almost anything else, like BattleBox or just like raw 1v1 fights or like most minigame events, like almost not like every game obviously, but like a lot of those games you're interacting with other teams in some way. So while I do think there's like a very concrete skill that is being shown when people play ranked, and it is most often like the better player will win, and it is like a speedrunning test of skill, it's arguably really bad in the sense that you're not actually interacting with the other player. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, that's not like inherently a bad thing, but I guess my point more is that like Minecraft PvP is a very like important thing that most people would think about when they think like Minecraft esports, and I think that's valid because I think that way too. And so I don't know what like the best esport thing would look like because I don't know if we'll ever get there, but like the MCL event that I played in a month ago or a couple weeks ago, for example, like that's a pretty cool thing that if you made like really strong teams of 5 as opposed to like the balancing and like the content creator side of things that I played in, like if you really made like the 5 of the best people against 5 of the other best people, like that could be really cool to watch and play. But again, like I don't know, you're missing like redstone and you're missing speedrunning and you're missing like movement, right? Like block placing, obstacles, parkour. Like there's people that are so good at those too. It's like it's such a like the game is so in depth like everywhere that there's never going to be like one good game or event or mini game or showcase or whatever that'll truly encompass like the best player. So I don't think there'll ever be like a greatest esport event. And so I guess that's why I'm only at a little bit of disagree, because I think Ranked Playoffs does a really good job of finding the best speedrunner, but that just doesn't really matter for like best Minecraft player necessarily, right? Because we're not finding the best PvPer or the best builder or the best redstoner or the best movement player, and those are all valid things, right? Like you can care about that stuff more than any of the other categories, and your opinion's valid. Like I might not agree with it if you say like, oh, I care about building skill, like cosmetic building, like I can build like a really cool medieval house like better than you can speedrun. Like I'm not going to say, oh, you're the better Minecraft player, but I don't think that's necessarily a wrong take if you have that take, right? Like they're both facets of the game that you can play.
Before we get into the final 3 statements, if you haven't already, then please be sure to subscribe. InsideMC has some amazing plans for the future, so if you want to keep up with it all, then please make sure to never miss out. I'll still be speedrunning in 5 years' time.
Speedrunning for me is something that I've really enjoyed ever since getting into it. That was, 4 years ago now. Well, even closer to 5 years ago now. But in another 5 years' time, maybe I won't be as obsessed with it as I was at my peak of like grinding and things. But I think I'd find it really difficult to just be entirely separated from speedrunning. Whether it is that, I just do it for fun every so often, chilling out with friends or whatever, that's totally fine. I think that could be the case. On the other hand, this could become something that I get better at quickly and, actually push myself in. I don't think that's going to be entirely true, but I don't think I'm ever going to be able to give up Minecraft speedrunning, and I don't even think I really have to, because I think that the community is going to be sticking around for a little while. And I mean, especially for the fact that Curry's beaten it 100,000 times, there's always going to be someone else speedrunning with me. So
for me, speedrunning doesn't it's such a large part of my life currently still, and I don't really see that going away for a while. But I see it, like, hopefully I'm still putting in lots of time into it, and I still care about it a lot, and I still am, kind of going hard in speedrunning 5 years from now. But if anything, I, have a job, whatever, like, whatever my future holds for me, it's still just going to be a hobby for me that I can go back and do and hang out with my speedrunning friends and that kind of thing. So I'm like, I don't see myself ever really straying away from that, to be honest.
God, how could I answer this? Well, for people who don't know, I'm trying to beat Minecraft 100,000 times, and that's going to take a little bit longer than 5 years. It's going to take roughly somewhere in the 20 to 30 year ballpark, I think. The estimate on my spreadsheet right now, I think, is 2049 if I keep like a 75 run a week pace, which is I've been pretty consistent with for a while now. So that is looking pretty good. I mean, we'll see what happens when I turn 30, 40, maybe even 50 and see how fast I go. But I absolutely love this game. I'm not the type of person who gets burnt out of something. I can do the same thing literally over and over and over and over and over, and I will enjoy it. I have that kind of just mentality. So I've done this already over 5,000 times. I don't see myself feeling like stopping anytime soon. Even if it came to a point where this isn't my full-time job, I would still be speedrunning very often just because I enjoy it and it's my favorite thing to do within Minecraft, and Minecraft is my favorite game. So it will always be something that I think I do even if it wasn't my job for nearly the rest of my life.
I mean, I've been speedrunning for 5 years now, I think, or maybe like 5.5. Like Minecraft specifically, I've been speedrunning in general like over a decade, and Minecraft specifically for 5 years. So I don't know. I've met a lot of great people doing this. I've had a lot of fun. I don't see any reason to stop. I mean, at some point I'll probably stop like grinding and playing at a top level, but like I don't know, this game's fun. I don't think I'm gonna fully quit for a while.
I mean, it is my job, and I would like to hope that I can keep working for 5 years. I guess it's a little bit of an optimistic, strongly agree. But I mean, there's just so many categories. There's so many things to do. Like Ranked has been out for less time than I have been speedrunning overall. Like I spent more time playing the game before Ranked came out than after Ranked came out, and Ranked like fully revitalized the game, and I don't see why there couldn't be something else like that that could fully revitalize the game for like a few more years, especially thinking about like newer versions or older versions even, or stuff like there's so many things and categories that I could do and ways that I can still learn about the game and do better and become a better player that I don't think I'll ever get bored of it. It would just be like I fall off and people don't care, and then I can't justify speedrunning 8 hours a day because it's not my job anymore. But I definitely think I would still be playing Minecraft and speedrunning in some capacity for like a very long time. So yeah.
I'm not any higher up than agree because 5 years is just so long. And what was I doing 5 years ago? My life was just so much different. But I say agree because I feel like I'm really getting in a flow with speedrunning. And even if speedrunning doesn't mean ranked or RSG, like I could see those maybe fading a little bit as like maybe rank gets more established and I like lose interest in it or something like that. Or like RSG, it's like I feel like slowly fading away. But speedrunning in general, like I'm going to be playing Minecraft for sure in 5 years. And I see myself totally making videos in 5 years. I really like the life that I have right now that's built up around making videos on Minecraft and speedrunning Minecraft. Like I love the community I'm in. I love my friends. I think it's all really good. And so like 5 years is a long time, but that's why I say agree.
I just don't know. The future's weird, I think. I think burnout and motivation, are so variable, I think. Like, for me, I only got good, relatively recently. When I started speedrunning at the beginning, basically October 2020 or whatever. That's probably when I got my first PB. But it's my motivation for the game has really ebbed and flowed. The recent, I'd say 2023 to 2025, now is the only time I've been super active. From 2020 to 2023, I think I was very on and off, and I constantly just felt motivated, and I didn't have a really long one period where I grinded a bunch until now. So I think it depends. And also I think I probably would have quit a while ago if it wasn't for rank, to be honest. I think rank definitely sparked up a lot of motivation for me again to play more. And it's now I'm starting to reach a point where ranked is becoming something I'm focusing on less, not as fun as it used to be. So there is a chance what if I burn out? What if I like just don't have anything I want to do in the game. So there's a chance where it's like, yeah, I probably just won't be speedrunning. But also, like, who knows? I think like there is still just like so much to mess around with and so many random categories you can do. 5 years is a long time, but like some of the most fun like gaming things I've ever done are like almost all of them are just like MCSR related. Cause like just playing with friends, like wacky categories, or like tourneys as well. Like tourneys are super fun. Whether it's like playoffs or like no reset invitational, stuff like that. And those I think definitely like light a spark in me to keep going. And it's also just fun to be good at something, I think, because it's like you get to practice so much. Like you get to really just spend all your time, all your focus on just optimizing micro things. And it's just fun to discover and improve at something you're like really, really good at. And I think I just naturally enjoy that. So as long as that is like something I continue to enjoy, I'll most likely keep speedrunning, I think. So I'm like very unsure because anything can happen, but I think I can definitely see possibilities in 5 years where I'm either like completely done or still going.
I don't really know where I'm going to be in 5 years. I have a lot of interests and I've gained a lot of new interests, and I'll hop in between all of the things that I enjoy. So I can't tell, but I know that I'll always enjoy doing it.
I think I say disagree. I don't really know where my life is going to be in 5 years, but I don't have a long-term set goal in speedrunning like Curryway. And it's also not my job currently like Curryway or Feinberg or some of the people that, average a lot of views and get, consistently good content out there. And even then, if I do kind of want to become a full-time content creator down the line, let's say there's the 1% outcome where that actually happens, I wouldn't want to be primarily a speedrunning content creator. Maybe I touch it here and there, but I'd kind of want to do what I do now, which is organize kind of like game shows and similar types of events and kind of have more of a unique take on content rather than just being like a speedrunner. So I could see myself touching speedrunner and grazing it. That sounds weird, but I don't see myself being primarily a speedrunner or someone I would describe, introduce myself as a speedrunner.
Speedrun content is still yet to hit its peak.
You could make an argument that I am one of the largest Minecraft speedrun content creators on YouTube, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing at any time at all whatsoever. And I feel like once more people like a RecRap who has taken it so much more seriously recently, and other people like that get into the game, or people who are maybe younger but very good at the game right now and don't really look at the content angle. I mean, there's just so many possibilities for content within the speedrunning space that have not even begun to be tapped. I mean, there's modded, there's more set seed content, there's races that you can do. I would consider lockout under speedrunning content. I mean, there's just so many different things that people don't really gravitate to because most of the top players just want to play and just want to be fast. And I think what's going to be really interesting is in a couple years from now, like seeing if someone like a Hacking Noises or like a Dugile or like a Mungie look at themselves as like, okay, I've had my fun as like a top 5, top 1 runner. Let me look at the content side of things and see what I can do. And I feel like there's just so much room for growth just from the skill level of people who don't take it as seriously right now, and from the content that, that I put out or that Parker puts out, and Parker would be the first one to tell you this too. I think there's just so much to do within the speedrunning content that has not been touched yet, that it's really exciting and motivating to kind of figure out ways to branch out and make it more accessible and watchable for people who might not understand all the tech, but just find playing Minecraft and watching people play Minecraft fast really cool. And bridging that gap is, I think, what has the most accessibility to like grow at the moment.
I mean, the only reason why I would say like we're maybe never gonna hit the peak again is because if you consider the peak to be like what Dream uploaded as his like him just being the channel, and like I guess by extension like George and Sapnap back then, and that's like, yes, we will probably never get to those numbers of like Dream uploads a 115 world record and gets 40 million views, right? I'm like, that would just, you'd be lucky to upload a 115 world record and get 40,000 views. Like that would just not happen anymore. Like, let me see here. Minecraft 1.15 world record. I'm going to look it up. I guarantee you, Dreams videos first, an outdated world record second. The current world record from a month ago has 4,000 views. And the outdated one from 5 months ago only has 6.5. And Dreams has 35 million. So, like, we'll never hit the peak that he did. I don't think ever again. It just is not possible because it's just not the direction that, like, the general public is going to be taken in anymore. Like, the amount of influence that he has is just absurd. And then there was a really big boost in 2020 also from all the big variety streamers doing Minecraft speedrun stuff. And the most recent thing we saw is Kai and Speed doing hardcore Minecraft until they beat it. And you could consider that's maybe the closest thing to like speedrunning that would happen. Like, obviously, it'd be great if like one of them played ranked or just decided to do runs. But I just, that's not really something that I think is realistic to happen. Like, Queso's just been doing a hardcore Minecraft world for like maybe a month or two. And I mean, the last time I watched, he has like full netherite and totems, and he still hasn't went to the end. So like, it's just not the scope of like what the variety, the big creators are doing nowadays. So I think without that benefit, there will sort of just never be a peak that high again. But I think we're still far away from like a peak that we could get to. Like, Kuriway is arguably the only person that's really trying with like speedrunning related YouTube content specifically, and that's where you're going to pull the biggest numbers and the biggest reach compared to Twitch. Like, it's not even close. Like, obviously live content is way different in terms of reach, and I think speedrunning is doing really well on Twitch specifically, but YouTube just hits way more people, and there's a big lack there. And I think it's just because the people that are trying to be the best in the world at speedrunning just don't have time for YouTube and or don't care. And I think that's valid. It's a lot easier to have a channel, and this is like supposed to come off in a positive way, what I mentioned, but like Bob Blue's channel, for example. Like, Bob Blue is very good at Minecraft. He's nowhere near being like one of the best speedrunners, but he's still very good at the game, and a lot of his videos are supposed to involve that fact in some way. Like, I mean, he did a video that was like very speedrunning related couple uploads ago. Yeah, the world resets every 5 minutes. Can we beat it? Like, this got 700,000 views. So like, that's pretty good. But he does a lot of like videos with other skilled Minecraft creators who would get like steamrolled if it was a speedrunning competition. But you could argue that like that's the type of like mainstream Minecraft content that you could consider like speedrunning adjacent, like good players trying to do things quickly on like collabs and stuff, like weird little challenge videos, like not necessarily manhunt specifically, but that sort of like vibe. Yeah. So I think it would be sort of getting into that type of content, or Kuriway just finds like a huge pop off in the algorithm. Because he's like really the only person other than me, I guess, that could like really have the money and the time to like invest in their YouTube channel while also doing Twitch content like 6 to 8 hours a day. And Curry's got a good mind for it, so hopefully something works for him. It'd be cool. Like some of his videos do well, but the overall, like, it's just nowhere close to the dream peak. So I don't think we'll ever get back there. But we could get to a newer peak that, like, if you exclude the dream videos, like, I think Kuriway could still unlock something that, like, would get his videos to get, like, 500k average instead of like 100k average. Like, I think that's still very possible. And it's just, if I knew, I would be doing it, basically. So I have no idea how to do that. But I think like the audience is still there because we are playing Minecraft, and the audience for Minecraft is massive. But we just have to figure it out somehow. And so I think it's possible. Just have to wait and see if it'll happen.
Okay, so originally I was feeling like I was kind of thinking about specifically ranked and playoffs and that kind of thing, and I was like, okay, like there's so much potential there, in my opinion, for really awesome stuff to happen and really popular stuff. But if we think about speedrunning content as a whole, the problem is that with 1.16 dropping and Dream and XQC and Forsen all doing that content, it's like that is like a peak that is nearly unattainable for like anything. So like in that way, it's not really like for those kind of like major things, that kind of content maybe has peaked already. But in terms of more like actually raw, like hardcore people who are really good at speedrunning, that kind of thing, I don't think that's hit its peak.
I think it's yet to hit its peak because there is a lot of possibility and a lot of things that the community has been building up, which has been really impressive. And in that sense, I'd like to highlight MCSR ranked. I think that has been a newer section of speedrunning, which has been really awesome to see develop. And I think there's a lot that can come out of it. We have had a lot of very big growths in the community in the past, though. So it wouldn't surprise me if things don't get better or bigger, but I think it will.
I don't think that there are enough people trying to do the same shit that like people like Summoning Salt are doing. Like I think the closest we've come is Cobalt's SSG video, his sub 1 video. That video is like honestly incredible. I love it so much. And I think there are stories in this community that can have videos of that caliber, and that we just haven't like done it yet. And also like even beyond videos like that, people don't really make like stream highlights and stuff at the same caliber as other games and stuff. It's just like people just don't try it as much as they do in other games, I think. So there's a lot of room for improvement in that sense.
I think that speedrunning and a lot of Minecraft content had a massive peak during the pandemic, obviously. And I feel like we're never really going to be able to replicate that. However, it really does depend on if people put a lot of effort into it. I know that there's a lot of creators that are really trying with a lot of content around different things, bringing in creators to do different game modes. Obviously, 100,000 no reset runs from Curry. We've got some really cool ideas coming out of Feinberg's channel recently, like the one inventory slot AA run. A lot of the community are pushing speedrun content now, rather than I think in the last few years where viewer numbers may have been lower for some people. That has probably been mostly focused on resets and grinding and getting better and practice and everything like that. Whereas now we're kind of pivoting into how do I make people actually enjoy what I watch? Or how do I make people enjoy what I'm making? And that, I think, is a really good position to be in. A lot of people have been picking up on this recently, and I really hope it continues to grow. Even, in the wider community, speedrunning is still there. You look at someone like Recrap getting 100 million melons, or people doing these insane skyblock challenges and things. It's never inherently a quote-unquote speedrun, but you're never trying to do it slowly. You're always trying to do XYZ as quick as you possibly can. Hence, I think that as a whole, speedrunning content is somewhat evergreen, but there is probably no way we beat the peak pandemic level of views unless people put in a crazy amount of effort in the coming few months, years.
So if we are talking in terms of viewership, I don't think we're ever going to reach the consistent floor-raising viewership we had in 2020, 2020 and 2021, thanks to the Dream drama and thanks to, manhunts popping off and people just being more into MCSR and people honestly being more into Twitch because of COVID, having to stay inside. We obviously saw a big boom in Twitch. In terms of quality, I think it's more debatable. I think MCSR ranked playoffs is the highest quality kind of anything that MCSR has ever been, and I think they at the very least are going to stay where they are or keep getting better because they're it's not like they're settling. But if we are talking viewership, I don't think we ever reach that point again. If we're talking quality, I think there is a ceiling to grow.
I think it just comes down to numbers at the end of the day, and my mind just goes to how does the peak of Dream in 2020 during COVID, how does that ever get beat? You know what I mean? Hundreds of millions of views on Manhunts, tens of millions of views on his world record videos. It's just I don't think that'll ever happen again. Yeah, I just don't see any line for that. But I am pretty bullish on just speedrunning as a whole becoming more popular right now, I think. I think Curry is doing a phenomenal job with that. He's averaging more viewers. He's grinding out the videos. I'm seeing a lot more people getting into YouTube with speedrunning, which is cool to see. And obviously those videos aren't getting millions and millions of views, which other types of Minecraft content videos will make. But I think there's always opportunity for stuff to grow. And even though it's a niche within a niche, which automatically makes it harder to get the tens of millions of views, I think you can still get good videos off of speedrunning. And I think it still can grow. But the peak of 2020, I just don't. That's just a once in a lifetime thing. I just don't think there's any way it'll get higher.
Okay, I mean, the only reason I'm like, when you asked, okay, when I heard the question, the first thing I thought of was COVID. And I think, like, just from memory, like, from what I remember, the numbers people pulled in COVID were absurd. Like, I think, like, Dream SMP definitely was, like, the big Minecraft thing that happened then. There were definitely, like, splash damage, like, to other parts of Minecraft, I think. And, like, speedrunning was definitely one of the things that got super big. Like XQC was playing, Forsen was playing, like, a bunch of other big streamers were playing, like, a lot of the people getting world record pulled like crazy viewers. And it's like, I think in terms of raw numbers, I think it'll never reach that level again. And like when I'm just thinking of the peak, I think the peak is so high that it's unlikely to reach that ever again. But ignoring that, I think it's different. I think speedrunning content definitely still can grow. Like in terms of YouTube stuff, I feel like speedrunning, like Minecraft speedrunning is still pretty underdeveloped. I feel like there's still a lot of good ideas out there. Like for example, Andronicus has been doing a few videos that are like super enjoyable, super fun, super interesting. And I think that's like an example of someone like finding new ideas in the speedrunning niche. But like overall in terms of numbers, I don't think a video like that is gonna pull like 10 million views or something, for example. Like kind of the stuff you would need to compete with the COVID peak, I think. Like I think speedrunning will definitely continue to grow as people like mess around and experiment with more ideas. And also playoffs and ranked is so good for the community. So is like Curryway doing 100k. Like that's also super good. It just like brings so much attention to the community. But yeah, it's just like COVID viewership was just so big, and I don't think like anything that will happen in the future will compete with that. I think it's very unlikely.
Minecraft has neglected speedrunning.
I mean, where do I even start? You could say that every version since 1.16.1 has made it worse for speedrunning, every major update, which, you know, I get their point of view. Their point of view is to make a competitive speed game. Because I think there's very few games that are still popular in the speedrunning community that were made to be speed games. Like, you think of games like Only Up, where I think there's a very clear focus on, like, there's going to be a competition to finish this as fast as possible. But those come in bursts, and, you know, they don't really stay around. Whereas if you look at Super Mario 64, that was made to be a good game. And yet 20 years, 30 years later, people are speedrunning it. Same with Minecraft. Their focus isn't on speedrunning. And so it does kind of suck, the fact that we can't really play newer versions and have fun if the goal is to speedrun. But, you know, they're expanding the game, and just a side effect of that is it's just becoming slower and less fun specifically to speedrun. Additionally, they kind of ignore speedrunning, it feels like. I don't know how much interaction there is between other events like MCC and Mojang, or Block Wars and Mojang, or even, you know, some Twitch rivals in Mojang. But I do know that there's been no interaction pretty much between Mojang and the MCSR community, which I think is a damn shame, because if we're going back to the esports question, I think MCSR is going to be the best format for esports for Minecraft. But yeah, I just think it's kind of been never focused on by Mojang. So, which is a shame, but it's just the way it is.
A lot of the updates that they make to the game will detract from speedrunning. And while I don't think there's anything wrong with that, it does show that it's not exactly within their interests to entertain speedrunning on the newer versions and with what they add.
Because every update since 1.16.1 has fundamentally made speedrunning worse. If you showed me a Minecraft update, literally any update, like any subcategory, anything, 1.16.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, whatever, I could point to something that made speedrunning worse. I'm fully confident in that. And it's just, I understand why to an extent. I mean, people make mistakes in game design. That's totally understandable. And they feel like they made a mistake. Even if I don't feel like they made a mistake, I'm not Mojang, and it's valid to feel that way. However, I think they overcorrected way too hard. I think overcorrected way too hard. And I think, you know, personally, obviously I'm biased, but I don't see a downside in the piglin trades of 1.16.1. And I understand like how they got to that point of, you know, this makes the game too easy. It's too easy to get pearls. It's too easy to get other resources. There's no like, you just wear golden bastion and it's easy. But like any mob in Minecraft is still easy. It's more so just the later versions for speedrunning. And I have probably more experience than most people speedrunning more recent versions of Minecraft. They don't make the game harder per se. They just make it more annoying. Like Piglin Brutes are not quote unquote difficult to deal with. You just still pillar up 2 blocks and they can't touch you. It's just you're losing a Piglin that you could trade with that makes it slower. And the trades are so much worse. And the terrain is just kind of, as much as I love the new terrain, the removal of like magma ravines is kind of annoying, because like at least keeping that would have been really cool. That was a really cool terrain feature. Obviously, there's just a lot of other smaller things like that. The pie chart was broken for a long time. The fog in the nether now is just horrific. And, you know, some of these things are also just accessibility issues that I really disagree with on a fundamental level. Like the ability now to have a mod to change your gamma is something that, you know, personally as someone with incredibly poor eyesight and played with gamma on before I even started speedrunning, was something that, you know, really bothered me personally, that was removed as a feature. And now I have to have a mod to up my gamma. And something as small as that, like not being able to just do that in your options.txt, is something that I don't really understand the reasoning behind that, but it's just, you know, there's probably close to 50 to 100, you know, decisions that they've made where you can kind of tie it back to this has made speedrunning the game more annoying. And it's not technically slower because you can still just get really lucky, but it's just more annoying. It's just more annoying. So I struggle to see the value, and I struggle to see why you would want to alienate a large part of your audience, because, you know, obviously the comparable thing is what happened in, you know, kind of the 1.8 to 1.9 switch with PvP. And that was a big alienating factor. And I mean, you still see today, like servers like Hypixel being played on 1.8 and stuff. And I don't know why they wouldn't want to learn from that. And I don't really understand the thought process through it. As someone who does really enjoy playing the more recent versions of Minecraft, every time I do a recent version of Speedrun, I love looking at the terrain and seeing different things about the game. But there's just so many things that just really don't make sense on a fundamental level that have just, I think, in the nature of trying to make speedrunning harder in their eyes, has just also made the game kind of less enjoyable as a casual player, and just kind of more annoying for people who don't spend a crazy amount of time playing the game.
I mean, they just haven't like done anything for us, but I don't think that's a bad thing, right? Like I think there's very few games that actually do care about speedrunning in some way, and it's almost always like indie games. And I guess like Minecraft's not an indie game anymore. Like maybe if speedrunning was big in 2010 when Notch was at the helm, maybe there'd be like speedrunning updates. But like, I don't know, the game that comes to mind is like Celeste is very speedrunner friendly, but the devs are there like very aligned with the community, and like speedrunning Celeste is a very big part of that game, and like sort of the game design in general too. So that's like just it's a different example, right? Like I just don't expect like Mojang to be involved at all. So it doesn't like really matter that they're not, like that's the truth. And it's like chill, because it's like they're not really invested in the esports scene at all. They're not really invested in like anything at all. Like I was shocked that they did Ender Cup for MCC this year, like getting involved in anything, saying like the event capacity or like competition capacity at all. Like that was shocking to me that they got involved in some way. And so like it's just the expectation that like they're too big to care about anything at all, like especially because we're playing on Java, not Bedrock. Like they care way more about Bedrock because that's where they're making all their money, right? Like they sell Java once and then it's over, but they sell Bedrock and then they could sell you everything on the marketplace a million times. So it makes sense that they just don't really care. Like I don't even know if I would like want them to. Like I guess if we could get a like Mojang exclusive sponsor or something, and like they would like fly people out for like an event or whatever, like that would be cool. But like a speedrunning update I think would just kind of like be weird. And I don't know, like the most that I would want them to do involvement wise is like making the game run smoothly so everything doesn't fucking lag all the time. But that's not really like speedrunning specific. Like I would like to think that everybody in the world would want the game to run smoother also. So that would be nice. But yeah, I don't know. They obviously don't care, but I don't like think it's a bad thing that they don't care, because I think it's like expected that they shouldn't care. So it's just like fine.
I don't think Minecraft really has like a duty to do anything for speedrunning or for us or anything like that. Like their kind of main audience is the survival players, and that is so much bigger. And so for that, I'm not on like strongly agree, but like objectively they have neglected speedrunning, and it would be nice if they were more open to competitiveness in their game, and like because there's so many games that are like competitive. Like maybe the best example of this is like, I don't know that much about this, but as far as I know, like Clash Royale is like their main audience is like casual players, right? But they still have, I mean, I guess this kind of goes for every game, but like Clash Royale, League of Legends, Valorant, like their main audience is like the middle tier player or whatever, but they still support the competitive side of their game. And I guess the difference is that it's like the games themselves are inherently competitive because they're like versus games, but I think it's cool. I think it's awesome when the creators of the game, the business behind it, because they have so much money, support the competitive aspect of the game. I just think it's good for the game. It's really fun, and it's just, I don't know. It's just like the most, I think it can really, I don't know if it's correct business-wise. Like, it probably isn't correct business-wise, and that's why they haven't done it, but in terms of fun-wise, for me, it would be awesome if Minecraft was more like other companies in how they support their esports. And yeah.
As a whole, I think that Minecraft and the dev team and all of that stuff don't like speedrunning. As a whole, as a concept, I don't think it's something that they want to promote, and I don't think it's something that they want their game to be seen as. And I totally understand that, right? It is not inherently a game that is meant to be done from A to B very quickly, and they're still pushing updates. Unlike hundreds and hundreds of speedrun other games, you know, your SM64s, your like even anything from like Wii Sports or like flipping as far back as you can go, any sort of games like that, you'll be very rarely getting any updates that are frequent. And that's something very different with Minecraft. However, there is a slight conspiracy within the speedrunning community that 1.16.1 was intentionally made to be speedrun. And I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail, but there are some signs that show that 1.16.1 or, you know, very early 1.16 updates were quite fortunate or quite beneficial for speedrunners. And I feel like that would be, there's quite a lot of coincidences that would have had to line up. So that's why I'm not in the strongly agree, because I do think that Mojang and Minecraft do dislike speedrunning as a whole, apart from potentially that one update. Now, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist with a tinfoil hat on, but that's what I think. So,
I mean, first of all, I want to say, like, they don't have to care about speedrunning. Like, Mojang are probably just doing their own thing. They're just trying to make it enjoyable for, like, the average player, which makes sense, which is, like, completely valid. But I think to some extent, there have been changes that feel completely unnecessary that just completely fuck over speedrunners. First of all, something funny is, like, part of me wants to say disagree, but because there is this, like, goofy theory that the main version for speedrunning, which is 1.16.1, was, like, a design for speedrunners or whatever. And, like, proponents of the theory say, like, it's because of stuff like the pie chart, it's because of stuff like E-Ray, where you use entities to find the bastion, it's because of stuff like F3F, because in newer versions, like, if you go to, like, what is the current version, like 121 or something, like, a lot of things just don't work nearly as well. Like, if you try to find bastions with E-Ray, like, you still can, but it's way worse. If you try to use your pie chart to find fortresses, it's like, it's so much worse. Like, you have to relog each time, and there's this thing you can do with F3F to increase your render distance, and for some reason that just doesn't work. Like, it's just a shortcut, and for some reason they just removed that. Like, when it comes to like features like those, yes, I think speedrunning is definitely neglected by Mojang. Like, they definitely just don't think about it whatsoever. Because a lot of things just make speedrunning harder. more annoying. And it's just like, yeah, there are just some things that are so cluttered. Like, for example, in the latest version, like on 1.16, F3 can, like, I remember complaining about F3, like when I switched from GUI 3 to GUI 4, which makes the F3 screen like larger. I remember complaining because it took so much of the screen, but like playing with F3 on in the latest version is genuinely so overwhelming. There's just like so many numbers. Like the game becomes like 40% of you actually looking at the game, 60% just numbers covering it. And that's like definitely just annoying for speedrunning, I think. So in that regard, I'd say, yeah, speedrunning is definitely neglected, but also like, I don't think they try to harm it on purpose. Like, I think they just have the focus on casual players, and they're just doing whatever to appeal to them and just doing whatever they find cool and not really like caring about speedrunning, which is like fair enough. Like, there are things that negatively impact speedrunning, but for the most part, like, it's still Minecraft, right? Like, it's not crazy different. And it's not like they're doing things that directly target speedrunners to make like the game worse, I think. So overall, I think it's like not that big of an impact.
I mean, they just don't. Mojang as like a company, and like Microsoft specifically, obviously don't care about speedrunners. Like, their goal is to just get more people to play the game, because it's a one-time purchase game with like, I mean, I guess there are like microtransaction stuff, but like no one fucking buys microtransactions in Minecraft. So like their goals are just to appease the newer audience instead of speedrunners, who are people who have generally been playing for a very long time. But like, I don't like when people say that Mojang like hates speedrunners. Like, they're not going out of their way to fuck over speedrunning. And I think like putting the blame on the actual Mojang devs in any situation is just misguided.
I just like, this is a question of like, how does Minecraft develop? Like, what does the team look like? What are their goals with? And I just feel like I don't have a good base to answer that from. Like, I don't really know what they're thinking. Obviously, the newer versions are slower, and it does look like they took things that happened in 1.16.1, which is the fastest version, and they took it away. Like, I think they clearly thought, okay, we added this cool Nether update and we made it a little too overpowered. So let's take away from some of that stuff. Let's lower the pearl trades. Let's add some piglin brutes. But at the same time, I don't think there's any malicious intent there, or they're like, we're neglecting this on purpose. It's just like, I think they have maybe I do think that they're neglecting it, because I just don't think it's their priority. But I don't think they're doing anything like, we should stop speedrunning. Like, they're adding features that are cool. You know, like you can get pearls in the trial chamber now. I mean, that's not really going to change anything. But I guess I'd probably say neutral, because I like speedrunning the newest versions. They actually fixed E-Rang. Wait, so that's like a bonus for like, they are liking speedrunning. But at the end of the day, like, I like speedrunning the newest versions. I love Minecraft as a whole. I don't really know what they're thinking, so that's why I'm a neutral.